Today we'll be talking about growth, decay, and compound interest formulas. These formulas will be given to you on the test. You just need to know the difference between the formulas. Much like with the arithmetic sequences, you had to know which one was recursive and explicit. You'll have to know the difference between them and how to use them. The variables won't be defined for you on the test. You'll have to know what goes into what as well. So just be aware that you will be given your formulas on the test. The formulas, your test is next week on the block day. So you have a test next week on the block day. That's the last test of the quarter, and then you have your final. So we have 3 weeks and then finals. So we'll do some EOC review after that, and then we'll start reviewing for finals, okay? So we want to do some EOC stuff with you guys before we get into that. All the stuff that was on the last quiz will also be on the test next week, just so you guys are aware, which most of you guys did a good job on it. Let's just hope you didn't forget it all, since, you've had a break. But we will be reviewing and stuff, and I'll get you guys your review on the block day as well, so you guys can start looking over it. All right, so let's first talk about exponential growth / decay formula. Does anybody know what that plus minus symbol in between the 1 and the R means? Does anybody know what that means? Anybody seen that before? That means that this is actually 2 different equations in one. So this actually means that there's 2 different equations in one here. So it's just putting both the growth and the decay formula in one equation. It just means one's an addition problem and one's a subtraction problem. So that's all that this plus or minus means here. So which one do you guys think is growth? Which one do you think would be growth? The plus sign, right? That makes sense that adding would be growth and the subtraction would be decay. So that at least logically makes sense. So let's talk about what each thing means. So Y is your final amount, whatever you're talking about, whether it be population or amount of money you have or anything that you're talking about, okay? So that's your final amount. A is the original amount, so how much you started with. So this is your starting amount. Rates are always given as percentages, but can we write percentages into a formula or into a math problem and type that in? What must you always do with percents? Change to a decimal. So we change to a decimal. By moving the decimal 2 to the left. That's because you're dividing by 100, because percents are out of 100. So that's why you can move it 2 to the left, because dividing by 100 moves the decimal place 2 to the left. Again, you can also just divide by 100. That's the same thing. And then T is typically time. It could be time in years, time in months, time in days. In this case, it doesn't matter what the time is. So do we have questions about what each of these pieces are? All right, then let's get into some word problems here. Oh, wait, compound interest. So let's look at the compound interest formula, and then we will get into all the examples. And then you guys should have time for homework, hopefully. So compound interest is A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT. It's going to be very important you learn how to plug these into your calculator correctly, so make sure you guys all are using your calculators today, because that's going to be part of your issue. I think that some of you guys will be completely fine with writing the formulas, but will not know how to put it in your calculator, and that's where you're going to lose points. So please make sure you're asking questions today about that. Does anybody need a calculator?
Thank you.
All right, so let's go over this formula. This is the compound interest formula. When we're doing compound interest, you'll look for words like compounded is a word to look for. To know it's compound interest. And not growth or decay. So growth or decay, for growth you'll see words like increasing or growing. Appreciating means to grow. Decay, you'll see words like decreasing, depreciating, decaying. But with compound interest, you're going to look for like compounded is basically the word you look for to know that it's compound interest. So there's your formula there. It's always about money. So it's your final amount or your balance. So it's always about money. These are things that banks use. They use compound interest for CDs, which are certificates of deposits, or even like your savings account. Sometimes they'll use this. So this is stuff that banks use. P is your initial amount or your principal. That's why it's a P. So principal means your initial amount. R is your rate. Remember, you must change percents to decimals. And we talked about how to do that on the last slide. This is what's different about this formula. N is the number of times compounded per year. So we're going to look at this box here, and we're going to look at each thing. So if it's compounded quarterly, how many times would that be compounded per year? Yeah, 4. There's 4 quarters in it all, right? So that's 4. Raise your hand and tell me what monthly would mean then. Monthly, raise your hand if you know how many would it be monthly. Go ahead, Kelly.
12.
12. There's 12 months in a year. Okay, semi-annually. Those of you that love shopping, think about semi-annual sales. How often do those happen? Go shopping a lot. How often do semi-annual sales go? Yeah. Twice. Usually, so for example, Victoria's Secret usually does a semi-annual sale in like June and December or January, right? So it's twice a year. And then yearly, that's just once. So you need to know what those words mean, because it will say compound it monthly, or it will say compound it yearly. So you need to know what those mean so you can find your value of N. And then finally, T is time again. All right, so go ahead and get that copied down, and then we're going to get into some examples here. All right, so let's read through the first word problem together. So the Smith family bought a condominium for $160,000 in the year 2010. If the value of the house appreciates by 5% per year, what will the value of the condo be in the year 2015? Okay, so you have 3 options: growth, decay, or compound interest. Sarah, what do you think this one is and why? And what word gave that away for you? You see appreciate. Appreciate means to grow. So we're using exponential growth. So if you look at your exponential growth formula, that's y equals one plus r to the t. Let me just make sure I'm using the same letters. Okay. So that's the formula we're going to be using. Again, these formulas will be given to you on your test, but you need to know which one's growth, which one's decay, and which one's compound interest, and you need to know what your letters mean. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just write the equation, and then we'll answer the 2 questions. So the first thing you're going to do is you're just going to write the equation. So you know you need these 3 pieces. You need y, a, r, and t. And we'll just write the equation, and then we'll figure out 2015, and we'll go from there. So, why? Do we know the ending amount of our house? No, so that is not to be filled in. Alexis, A is our beginning amount. What is the beginning amount for this condominium? Jenny, what is our rate? Perfect. So you must change 5% to 0.05 or 0.05. That's the same thing. So you can either divide that by 100 or move the decimal place to the left. And then we do know time, but this is going to be our changing amount here. So to write the equation, we're just going to leave it blank for a second here. So we have y equals 160,000 times 1 plus 0.05 to the t. So that is just the equation. We have an equation we can now use in any situation to figure out the price of this house as the years go on. All right, so the first question asks you, how much will it be in the year 2015? So what do we know in our equation then if it's the year 2015? Yeah. T is 5 because it's 5 years after 2010. Very good, Jenny. So T equals 5 because that's 5 years past 2010. So we're going to plug into our formula and put in 5. You can put this into your calculator. Make sure you put enough zeros down for 160. That's another mistake a lot of kids will make. Okay. If you have the normal calculator like this one, or like yours, raise your calculators up. Let me just remember who has backwards ones. Only Hannah. Okay, bless you. Only Hannah needs to worry about the order, really, but everybody else can just type directly how you see it. So you type 160,000, parentheses, 1 plus 0.05, close the parentheses, and use the caret button to raise it to the 5th power and hit equals. So everybody can just kind of type that in and get a number out. All right, Katie, what did you get for your answer? Did you say 205? 1,205. 205, and then how much cents? We'll go to 2 decimal places. So am I writing this right? 205? And then 05, 5 cents? Okay. Yeah, you know. So, the condominium is now, in the year 2015, the condominium is worth $204,205.05. Questions on that one? Okay, then what is our T value? What is our T value if it's asking for the year 2020? What is it, Alex?
10.
And why is it 10?
Because it's 10 from the year 2010.
10 years from 2010. Very good. Okay, so go ahead and get that in your calculators and see what answer you get out. You don't have to retype if you hit your up arrow, for most of you.
You already
You get the same number. Okay, I'm going to write the answer up here. If you didn't get it, let me know. $260,623.14. Did anybody not get that and need help plugging stuff into their calculator? Are you getting these, Hannah? Okay. All right, so what questions do you have about the very first example? Okay, when you're ready, go ahead and flip to the next page. All right. Emma bought a new car for $18,000. Once the car is driven off the lot, the car depreciates in value 50% each year. How much will the car be worth in 5 years? Raise your hand and tell me if we should be using growth, decay, or compound interest. Avery. And why, Avery?
Because depreciate means to go down.
Depreciate means to go down. It means to decay. So we're going to use exponential decay. Which is that formula there. Again, the formulas will be given to you on your test. So let's just start with writing the equation first, then we will plug into our equation. So first, Olivia, do we know my Y value, my ending amount? No. How about the A value, Olivia? That's your starting amount. Good. What is your R, your rate? Perfect. Move it 2 to the right. And then 5 is the years is what we're going to replace every single time to figure out what we're getting there, because you guys do not know how to solve for Y yet. So we get Y equals 18,000 times 1 minus 0.15 to the T power. So that's just the equation. So that's the blank equation that we can plug into no matter what the year is. So Iris, we want to know how much it's worth in 5 years. So what do we do with that then? Yeah, we say T equals 5 and we plug that in. So go ahead and do that in your calculators and see what you get. Yes, Jenny. So on your test, there's 2 separate questions. One says just to write the equation, and one says to answer it with a certain number. So that's why I'm doing this, so that you guys know that you're supposed to have the T in there when it just asks for the equation. Does that make sense? Okay. It should be depreciating, so it should be going down. So the car is worth $7,986.70 when you round. Did anybody not get that number and need me to help them? Or do you know how to plug this into your calculator? Make sure you guys are plugging it into your calculator and not just copying it, so that you guys know how to do it. Again, sometimes the biggest issue is that you guys just don't know how to plug in your calculator, and that shouldn't be why you lose points. So I want to make sure you guys have that. Questions there before we do the last 2 examples? Okay, we have 2 more and then I'm going to get you your homework. What will be the amount in an account if you invested $1,500 at an interest rate of 3% compounded quarterly for 15 years? Growth, decay, or compound interest? Alexis. You see the word compounded and you know it's compound interest. Very good. Now I have to go back and see what the letters are. It's A. So the first thing we're going to do is write the equation. Okay. Jacqueline, do we know our ending amount? No. How about our principal, our beginning amount, Jacqueline? Good. Jacqueline, what is my R, my rate? Be careful, 2 decimal places. There you go. So 3% moves twice, which is 0.03. Make sure you guys are moving it 2 decimal places. That is a pretty normal mistake I see on kids' equations. They'll accidentally only move it over once, especially when it's not like a number like 10 or 11, with the 2 digits. N is the number of times it's compounded in a year. Jacqueline, how many times is it compounded in a year? Be careful. Look for the word after compounded. What does the word after compounded say? What'd you say? Quarterly, which means 4. Very good. So N is 4. And then T is what we'll plug into when we get there. So we have A equals 1,500. 1 plus 0.03 over 4 to the 4 times T. Okay, before you guys start plugging this into your calculator, please pay attention to me really quickly. Do not just start plugging. Please pay attention. So it's for 15 years, which is T equals 15. So we'll replace the T with the 15. Before you plug anything into your calculator directly, multiply the exponent first. Before you plug anything into your calculator, just multiply the exponent and then you can plug everything into your calculator. So 4 times 15 is 60. Do that first and then you can plug directly into your calculator. Does that make sense, everyone? Otherwise, your calculator is going to raise it to the 4th power and then multiply it by 15, your answer by 15, and not use it as an exponent. So make sure you guys are doing that multiplication first and then plugging it into your calculator. So go ahead and try. We'll see what we get with our answers and make sure we're all in the same place because it's a little bit harder. So what did you do first? Just tell me what you did.
I did 1 plus 0.03 divided by 4 equals, and then divide 60 again.
Okay. Write your answer down real quick and we'll just make sure that we get the same thing if I do it a different way. Okay.
Yeah.
So it might be fine. Good. That works. What'd you get? No, you forgot to add, your 1 is outside your parentheses. No, it's not. Let me see, what did you do here? It looks like you have 2 parentheses. You didn't close. You see how you have a parenthesis here?
Oh.
And another one, you have to close that parenthesis. So you need another parenthesis there. You throw your calculator answer. Okay, I'm going to get an answer up on the board. If you guys don't have the same thing I have, please raise your hand now. This is a little bit more difficult. Okay, raise your hand now if you need me. Did you get help from? Let's see what you typed in. Oh, you can't use the fraction button. You have to use the division sign. Oh. It's because you don't like, technically you're not supposed to have decimals in a fraction. Mm-hmm. It's not allowed, so that's why the calculator gets mad. Okay? Anybody else not get this number?
I got something weird. I just didn't know how to plug it in.
So you need to use the parentheses when you see them.
Okay.
So there's a parenthesis there. right? A parenthesis there, and then just raise it. You can type it exactly how you see it, and then just raise it to the 60, just like
My
we were.
question, what I was confused about, was how we typed this thing.
You can just type that in exactly how you see it. So you would type 1, you can do 1,500, parenthesis, 1 plus 0.03 divided by, so hit the division symbol, 4, close the parenthesis, and then caret 60.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anybody else need me?
So do we plug the whole thing in the final?
Except, and just instead make that 60, yeah. So plug it exactly how you see and see if you get it. Anybody else? Okay, let's do the last one. There you go. That's right. All right. On your 4th birthday, your parents invested $800 in a CD, which is a certificate of deposit at the bank. The CD earns an interest rate of 4.75%, but it is only compounded semi-annually. What will the CD be worth on your 18th birthday? So first of all, growth, decay, or compound interest. Raise your hand. Growth, decay, or compound interest. Mackenzie. You see the word compounded, and so you should think compound interest. Okay, Kaylin. Do we know A, our ending amount? No, we do not. So that's our question mark right now. What is our principal, P, our beginning amount?
800.
Good. What is R, your rate?
4.7.
Okay, and how do you change that to a decimal? Perfect. Move it twice to the left. N is your number of times compounded in a year. How many times is this compounded, Kaylin? Twice. The word semi-annually here means that N is 2. And then T is what we will plug in for. So that's just our equation. What is your T value? What is your T value? Jillian?
Would it be 12?
18 minus 4 is 12, right? You start on your 14th birthday. 18 is 12 years later. So T is 12. Again, make sure you multiply the exponent first before you go straight into your calculator. So what is 12 times 2? So make sure you plug it in as 24. If anybody needs help, please let me know.
Wouldn't 18 minus 4 be 14?
Yeah, it's 14. You're right, guys. It should be 14. My fault. So let's change that to 14. Thank you for saying something, Jill. All of you guys should, make sure you're checking things at all times. So that should be 28, not 24, right? Are we all right with that? Okay. Okay, why don't you say something? It's okay to say something, guys. Don't just sit there.
I had to re-erase my whole thing. 18 minus 4 is 14.
Yeah. We're doing real good today, guys. It's Monday after a long break. Okay. Jill, did you get your answer already?
No.
Okay. Does anybody have their answer?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you have, Olivia?
15,435.54.
So you got $1,543, right? And 55 cents. Did anybody get something different, not get this? Can we all confirm that this is good after the nice 12 mix up there?
I'm just writing down random numbers. I write down